All right, movie review for Star Chamber, directed by Peter Hyams, starring Michael Douglas, Yaphet Kotto, Hal Holbrook. Pretty good cast. Don Calfa. Frustrated with a legal system gone haywire, a secret society of judges hires hitmen to snuff out criminals who escape courtroom justice, but one young judge questions the ethics of their vigilante system. And that judge is Michael Douglas. So Peter Hyams, pretty legit director in my opinion. He's also a cinematographer. Directed Outland. Pretty big fan of that movie. I think his best movie is 2010, The Year We Made Contact. Time Cop, Sudden Death. End of Days. Big fan of End of Days. So legit director. This is an interesting movie, and I did like it. I think it's a little slow, maybe. Roger Ebert gave it 2 out of 4 stars. It's a great idea. The Star Chamber works brilliantly until it locks into a plot. Then it stops dancing and starts marching. The movie opens with a series of intriguing scenes showing a series of shocking miscarriage of justices. Friends and perverts are caught red-handed, confess to their crimes, then are put back on the street again because of minor legal technicalities. So that's kind of how I feel about it. It's a good movie. It's worth a watch. It's a good-looking movie. Peter Hyams, the cinematographer, he knows what he's doing. Yaphet Kotto is really good as a detective. And basically, it really focuses on these 2 guys. And man, these guys, one's played by Don Calfa, and man, they look like dirtbags. Perfect casting. I mean, the Don Calfa looks like he's on like every drug there is. He looks so cracked out. But what happened? What ends up happening is a kid is murdered. These kids are being abducted, put into like a child, ring. And after that, they're murdered. They find a kid in a park, dead. There's tracks nearby of the car that dumped him. Then these 2 guys are driving around, up to no good. They're criminals. They're gonna rob like a liquor store, but then a cop goes and parks next to it and goes into the liquor store, so they leave. Then they get pulled over by these 2 cops who were at the scene of the kid that died. John D. Santi really doesn't like the look of these guys. So he runs their plate. They have multiple warrants. I think it's for traffic violations though. And then he pulls them over, he talks to him, the guy's like, well, I paid those. He doesn't believe him. Then he says he smells weed, and his other partner doesn't really smell it. He probably didn't smell it. He just wants to search their car. So he's like, okay, we're gonna search the car. And then they start searching the car, and they find a shoe, a kid's shoe with blood on it. And they're like, okay, these are probably the guys that just killed the kid. So they take him to trial. They have a pretty good case, but it gets thrown out because the defense lawyer says we should throw this out because he interviews the cop. He says he smelled weed. The other cop says he didn't really know what he smelled. He wasn't sure. They ended up not finding any drugs on them. So Michael Douglas, who's the judge, ends up throwing it out. This really disturbs him. He doesn't like these guys. The parent of the dead kid, I'm trying to find his name. Good actor, but he kind of ambushes Michael Douglas and gives him a picture of his kid, and he's like, you know, giving him shit for what he was about to do. Michael Douglas is all high and mighty. You know, I only care about the law. He's like, look, like, I don't like, he's like, basically, I don't like these guys either. You know, they have a huge criminal record. And then before this, another case was thrown out because of the way that they searched the trash of this guy. He threw a gun in the trash. They waited till the trash man came, put it in the boot. And then there's like an arm that swings down and puts it into the rest of the trash. They didn't wait till it swung down. So the defense lawyer says, you got to throw this out. Michael Douglas throws it out. So all this is weighing on him. He's angry with the system. He is friends with Hal Holbrook, who's another judge. You know, he's older. And he kind of lets it slip that he's like, this used to upset me too until I did something about it. Michael Douglas keeps asking him, what'd you do about it? What'd you do about it? And that's the Star Chamber. It's 12 judges, I think. I think it's 12. And they, you know, this case was thrown out. This guy's on the street. He's a total dirtbag. You know, he's got all these felonies. He'll probably end up killing someone. So they all judge. They get a vote, guilty or innocent. And if they're guilty, they hire a hitman who then goes and kills them. Now, during all of this, you got Yaphet Kotto, great actor, who's also trying to solve all this. What ends up happening, though, is that they catch this guy who's stealing cars, and he's got, I think, 2 felonies already. This is about to be his 3rd one, which I think they're saying, you know, 3 strikes law, you're going to jail forever. So he's like, why don't you tell us something? Maybe we could help you out. He finally tells them, okay, look, there's these 3 guys, and they're going around and kidnapping kids, and they're killing kids. And how do I know this? Because I steal cars. I stole a car, he says. I stole this van, and basically they want to use the van, but they don't want the car reported stolen. So he steals the van, he gives it to them, he waits in a bar. They go and they go kidnap kids and stuff. He says he didn't know what they were doing. They just, you know, pay him money to go steal the car. They go do that, they bring the van back. He goes and parks it back at the apartment or whatever, the person who owns the van. They never know what happens. But he's looking in the van and he sees that there's a shoe with blood on it, and it's a kid's shoe. So he's like, okay, so they're probably the ones who are kidnapping all these kids. He tells Yaphet Kotto, and this kind of exonerates the 2 other guys, who they thought were the serial killers. Turns out they're not. And that's pretty much the setup of the movie. And then Michael Douglas, they already voted on killing them. He goes to Hal Holbrook. He's like, we need to stop them. We need to stop the hitman from killing them. He's basically like, we can't. They reconvene the Star Chamber. And Michael Douglas is getting angry at all them. He's like, well, you have to go get the hitman. And he's like, look, once we put out the hit, it's over. It's like, we don't even know who the hitman is. You know, they probably just pay him in cash. Maybe they have a drop site. Stuff like that. So he storms off. He's very angry. Hal Holbrook's like, hey, you better watch out, man. Because basically they'll put a hit out on you, which is what happens. And then he goes to Yaphet Kotto. He's like, hey, where are these two guys living? Because he wants to visit them. And he does. Yaphet Kotto's like, what the? He's like, look, these guys are dirtbags. Why do you care? You're some, rich judge. And then he finally tells them where they are. They're in some abandoned building where they're making PCP, I think. And he goes there, and of course they're violent criminals, so they start beating him up. He's like, look, just get out of town. And they want to know why. He won't really tell them. So they're beating him up. He has to escape. The hitman goes there, dressed as a cop. He kills both of them. Then he points the gun at Michael Douglas. He's going to kill him. Yaphet Kotto then breaks down the door, kills the hitman. So now the Star Chamber is turned against Michael Douglas. And then at the end of the movie, Michael Douglas is sitting in the car with Yaphet Kotto outside of Hal Holbrook's house, and they're recording what's going on inside. So that's pretty much the setup. I think the ending's a little anticlimactic because they don't arrest them. They're just on their way to, they're gathering evidence, but because it'd probably be very hard to take down like 11 powerful judges. I mean, they hold on all the cards, kind of, right? So, or most of them. So that's the setup of the movie. I mean, I like the movie. It's a little slow. And also, like, he's going through all of these hoops to save these two guys, and they're total dirtbags, and they're making PCP. And also, I'm not sure it's explained why are they in the van with the shoe that has blood on it? Like, I understand the other guy who's played by Otis Day, who was stealing the cars. I get that, which I think that makes sense. Like, it's basically, it's like he's running like a rent-a-car business, but the owner of the car doesn't know it's being rented out. But so they still have the van. Don Calfa and is it Joe Regal Budo? Is that his name? Yeah, I think that's him. But why is there a kid's shoe in the van? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that really makes sense. Like, why are they driving around in a car with blood and a kid's shoe in the van if they had nothing to do with the kidnapping of the kid? So, yeah, that doesn't really make any sense to me. But, and that's pretty much the movie. Maybe it's a little too long. I get the feeling Peter Hyams likes long movies. Like Outland. Maybe a little too long. I don't know. At least there's great special effects in that movie. But, yeah, Roger Ebert gives it 2 out of 4. Their crimes, capture, trials, and victories are filmed with so much style and energy. We think this is going to be a good movie, but it's not. It loses faith in its own subject matter. I'm not sure I'd say it's a bad movie. Turns into a series of bankrupt standard plot ideals and ends up as just one more movie where the hero and the killers are chasing each other. Another one of those colorful abandoned warehouses that 87% of all thrillers visit at one time or another, yeah. And also the warehouse has power. Like, there's lights. If you have an abandoned building, would the owner of it keep paying the power bill? I don't think so. That happens all the time in movies, though. It's like, oh, it's an abandoned building. And then why the lights work? Why is there power? It makes no sense. The Star Chamber begins as the stories of several specific characters, criminals, cops, judges, and if it had continued to be about them, it might be fascinating. Yeah, if you do me a favor and smash that like button, it'd be great. Helps the channel a lot. Oh yeah, another funny thing I wanted to point out is this poster, which I think's in German, that I found. It's like Michael Douglas with a gun. He's like this tough guy. I don't think he ever holds a gun in the movie, so it's just funny. It's like him as Judge Dredd or something, but that's not the kind of movie this is. But yeah. Instead, it cuts to another one of those routine right-wing fantasies where powerful forces are meeting behind closed doors to decide our fates. The movie stars Michael Douglas as an idyllic young judge who grows up disturbed as he is forced by loopholes in the law to let several savage criminals walk out of his courtroom. Oh yeah, and then also on his conscience is the father of the kid when he lets them go, the two guys. He pulls a gun out and he tries to kill them. He ends up shooting a cop in the arm. He goes to jail. He's about to be sentenced, have his trial. The guy ends up, let's say, deleting, he's gone. And this plays on his conscience because he talked to the guy a couple times. He even met with him when he was in jail. And he's like, well, at least I tried to do something. He's like, my conscience is clear. He says his wife has been pretty much gone crazy. They have to sedate her all the time because she says she keeps hearing the screams of her little kid. Very sad. But he's recruited by fellow judges who introduce him into a star chamber of powerful citizens who retry such cases. When they decide a guilty man has gone free, they hire him on his own as a hitman to assassinate the criminal. The ending of the movie is especially infuriating when Michael Douglas is fleeing from a creep inside an abandoned warehouse. Another creep dressed as a cop arrives on the scene. Then a real cop, Yaphet Kotto, shows up. With Douglas's life in danger, Kotto shoots and kills the phony cop. Now, how did he know the other cop was phony? How, since he couldn't see Douglas, did he know the other cop was about to do? Well, he's pointing the gun at him, pointing a shotgun right at him. Why would he do that? He's a judge. I don't know. If a movie was going to descend to the level of routine thriller, then the least it could do is play by the routine thriller rules. Yeah, I'm not sure I'd give it 2, maybe 2.5 out of 4. It's an interesting movie though, so I definitely would recommend it. It's Peter Hyams. He's a really solid director, I'd say. But I guess it's based on like a British book. Yeah, called The Star Chamber. But yeah, that's about it. Michael Douglas is really good in it. Yaphet Kotto is really good. All the acting's really, really good. And the two guys that got to play the dirtbags, I have to say, are really good because you totally buy them as criminals. So, but that's about it though. I'll see you next time.